So, you might have seen this headline pop up recently. Israel recognizes Somaliland. And look, it's easy to just scroll right past that, right? Seems like just another bit of diplomatic news. But what if I told you that one little announcement could kickstart a chain reaction that literally wipes a whole country off the map? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today.
I mean, just look at that quote. Destroying Somalia forever? That's a huge claim. So how on earth could just recognizing a small, unofficial state lead to something so catastrophic? That's the big, shocking question here. And trust me, the answer is a lot more subtle and a whole lot scarier than it looks on the surface.
Okay, so let's get into it. The source material we're breaking down here doesn't see this as some simple diplomatic handshake. No, it calls it a geopolitical earthquake. And just like a real earthquake, the biggest damage isn't always right at the epicenter. We're just starting to feel the aftershocks, and they're threatening to bring down a fragile agreement that's been holding a nation together for decades. All right, to really get why this is such a big deal, you first have to understand what Somaliland even is. Picture this, it's 1991 and Somalia is collapsing into total chaos. In the middle of all that, Somaliland just breaks away. And for the next 30+ years, they actually built a functioning state. They have a stable government, their own currency, relative peace. But here's the crazy part. For all that time, not a single country in the world would officially say, you exist. So why not? Well, it all comes down to this one unspoken rule. The whole world basically had a gentleman's agreement. No matter how broken Somalia gets, no matter how much of a mess it is, we will not touch its borders. That principle, that was Somalia's lifeline. It was the only thing keeping the idea of the nation from completely vanishing. And now, that rule has just been broken.
So why is breaking this one rule so disastrous? To get that, we have to look at just how fragile Somalia is right now. We're not talking about a stable country that's just hit a rough patch. Think of it more like a house of cards, sitting in the middle of a hurricane.
I mean, just look at the last 30 years. It's like a tale of two completely different places. While Somalia was just getting torn apart by civil war, famine, and constant instability, Somaliland was over here quietly building a nation. They were holding elections, creating a government, and now Israel's recognition has just thrown a lit match on all that tension that's been simmering for decades.
The brutal truth is, Somalia has pretty much zero ability to handle a shock like this. Let's be real. The central government? It barely controls anything outside of the capital city, Mogadishu. Society is deeply split along clan lines. The economy is basically on life support, propped up by foreign aid. All the things a country needs to hold itself together, control, unity, money, they're already hanging by a thread.
Okay, so this leads to the big question, right? The multi-billion-dollar question, why? Why would Israel do this, and why now of all times? Well, the answer, maybe unsurprisingly, has almost nothing to do with Somalia and everything to do with a tiny, critical stretch of water.
Get this, 12%. That is not a small number. 12% of all global trade every single year has to squeeze through this tiny strait right next to Somaliland. In the world of geopolitics, having influence over a choke point like that, that's not just valuable, that's the jackpot.
And lately, this super important highway for trade has turned into a full-blown battlefield. You've seen the news about Houthi attacks messing with shipping. You've got the US, China, Russia, all the big players, jockeying for position. The Red Sea has become this massive conflict zone, and having any kind of control there is, well, everything.
So what's in it for Israel? Well, by recognizing Somaliland, they get a ton. They get influence, they get access, they get an intelligence partner, all at this crucial spot on the map. The source material has this great phrase for it, power without flags. It's about getting all the strategic advantages of a military base without actually having to build one.
Okay, so we get the why now. It's all about strategy. But let's pivot back to what this means for Somalia. Because Israel's move wasn't just a one-and-done thing. Nope, it was the first domino. And now, the rest are starting to wobble.
And the way this could all fall apart is actually pretty straightforward and kind of terrifying. Step 1. Israel's recognition makes breaking away seem legitimate. It shatters that 30-year taboo. Step 2. Other regions inside Somalia see this and go, hey, wait a minute, if they can do it, why can't we? Step 3. The government in Mogadishu starts losing control of land, of ports, of tax money. Its power just evaporates. And Step 4. That power vacuum becomes a playground for extremist groups and other countries who want a piece of the pie.
And the source we're looking at is crystal clear about this. This isn't just a nation getting a little bit weaker. This is the playbook for how a country literally disappears. It's a death by 1,000 cuts, losing authority, land, and legitimacy bit by bit until there's nothing left.
So what does the endgame look like? What is the anatomy of this collapse? Don't picture a big sudden explosion. It's more like a slow, creeping sickness that infects every single part of the state, until you reach a point where you just can't go back.
And the fallout would be an absolute catastrophe. Politically, the government becomes a government in name only, with zero real power. Economically, you lose the ports, you lose the foreign money, the whole system just collapses. And from a security standpoint, it's a free-for-all. Extremist groups get stronger, violence spirals, and this chaos doesn't just stay in Somalia. It spills over the borders and destabilizes the entire region.
And honestly, the ripple effects go way beyond just Somalia. For decades, there's been this core principle in Africa, held up by the African Union. Those old colonial borders, as messy as they are sacred. You don't touch them, because if you do, you open up a Pandora's box of endless conflict. Well, this move just took a sledgehammer to that principle. It sends a dangerous message to the entire continent. Hey, borders are up for grabs now, as long as you can find a powerful friend to back your play.
So where does that leave us? We could be looking at a future, and a very near future, where Somalia is just a name on an old map. In reality, on the ground, it'll just be this messy patchwork of little territories, zones controlled by foreign powers, and areas run by militants. A country just gone.
Which brings us to one last really chilling question. In this day and age, do you really need to fire a single shot to destroy a nation? Or can you dismantle it quietly, with a pen, a handshake, and one single strategic diplomatic move? What's happening with Somalia suggests the answer is a terrifying yes.